Hello, I hope everybody's doing okay today, having a good day. And today, I've got this top loader that I recently cleaned up. It's in another video. A few weeks ago, maybe a couple weeks, I don't know. But anyway, I've got this top loader. And in case you didn't know, the top loader only came with RF. So you didn't have an AV jacks, RCA. Composite video and audio, and that's the only drawback for this one because it reads the cards much better. But I've gotten a AV mod kit from eBay. Usually I would build these myself, but this one was nice because it's got the 3D printed molding here, and it basically is going to replace that. And I bought it off of eBay. It comes with this. Of course, it comes with the power jack. It's also got a light on it. And I don't know if I'm going to install this, but we'll see. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this apart, take the shell off. Of course, we have the 4 screwy screws. So I'm going to get my special bit and take this out. Okay, so I've got the top molding off. I took off those 4 screws, and there are 5 Phillips head screwdrivers here holding this motherboard to the bottom of the case. So I'm going to take these screws out. Okay, so next up, I've got to remove this heatsink here. And what I'm going to do is take out this screw right here, and this one, and this one. So I'm going to take those off with a Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, just to show you how this is going to fit, this is the back of the board here. And there are 2 screws right here that anchor this plastic molding here, and those 2 screws are going to go into this when I'm done. So I'm going to take these screws off right here. Alright, now that I've got those 2 screws off, the next thing I want to have to do is right here is desolder this power jack. See, this is the power jack. I'm going to have to desolder this right here. And consequently, this is the new power jack that I'm going to put in. So, allow me to desolder that real quick. Alright, so I've got the 2 solder joints right here fluxed and got flux on them. And I've gotten flux on my my soldering wick, desoldering wick. So I've got my soldering iron, and I'm just going to apply some heat to this. And I'm going to be careful not to touch that plastic, even though I'm taking that off and replacing it. I don't want to mess it up anyway, just in case I ever want to use that on another console or go back on this. You can see the solder soaking up on that desoldering wick. Alright, so I've got my solder here and my soldering wick, desoldering wick, and I'm just going to cut this part off, stretch a little bit more out, get some solder, some flux on there again, and get back to it. Alright, let me check out those two joints and see if it's good. Actually, this one closest to me looks like it needs a little bit more taken off. Alright, I've got the two joints here desoldered, and it's time to work on the RF adapter. And I need to desolder this joint here. I'll tell you, this one's going to be a little bit harder because it's a little bit thicker there. So let me get my solder gun, solder iron, and get that one out and fluxed out. Hold on. And here we go. Now this takes a little bit longer to do, because there's a little bit more solder on this one. But I think that's pretty good. Let me get around here. All right. Let me check out that joint real quick. Now that I've gotten the two ground planes desoldered, I'm going to need to desolder these 3 AV joints here. So I'm going to desolder those real quick and use some flux on it. Grab my soldering wick. Need to cut the end off here. I'm going to put some flux on there. And so I'm gonna get my solder gun here, solder iron. And take out those 3 joints. they feel loose right now, so I think I've got it pretty much done. Let me check it out. Alright, so I've gotten these joints desoldered, and basically right now I need to use a flathead screwdriver and pry this up. Okay, so after I've removed this plastic piece here that had the power jack in it, I discovered one more point I need to desolder right here, so I'm going to do that real quick. Let's see if I can do this. Well, I'm going to put some flux on it. Okay, so I think that's good. So I'm going to just get my flathead screwdriver, and let's see if I can do this on camera. Actually, I can't find a good place to do it. Okay, so I've gotten a smaller screwdriver. So let's pry this open, or pry this off. Be careful not to pull too hard on it. Should come right out just like that if you properly desoldered it. And that's what you should end up with. Alright, now on to the next step. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is 10-mile wires here. So I'm just going to basically put some flux right on the tip. Get my solder iron ready. And just apply a little bit of solder onto the end here. And so I'm going to repeat that for all the rest of the wires. So that's 3 more wires to go. I'm just going to do that off camera so you don't have to sit through it. Okay, so just to explain what the colors of the wires are for this particular setup here. The red is for power. The white, which is actually on this one, it's gray. On my instructions it says white, but it's gray. That's for the audio. Green goes to the PPU, that's video. And the black, of course, is for ground. Alright. So we're going to look at the board here. So right now we're going to connect the red and the white, the sound and the power, and they're going to go in 2 of these holes right here. The red, which is the power, is going to go right here on the most left solder joint there. And I'm not exactly sure what volts that's supposed to be. But anyway, that's probably 5 volts. And on the right here, is the white, and that's the audio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this through here and solder on the other side. Okay, so I've added flux to that joint there, stuck the wire in. I'm just going to apply a little bit of flux, solder. That should get it. Turn it over and tug on it a little bit, and that's good. So I'm going to do the white wire. I'm going to hook it up right here. I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, so I've got my my audio and my power soldered in. It's good connections here. So I'm going to take my ground and I'm going to put it to one of the old RF posts here for the ground. Okay, now that I've got my ground in right here, and I got my 5 volt, and I got my audio here, now it's time to hook the video up. Now, you got a couple of choices. You can either hook it to that center connection right there, between that white or gray and the red wire. You can do that, but the problem with that is you're going to get some interference. And the best way to go is to hook it up to pin 21 of the PPU, which this is a PPU, and right here is pin 21. And you have to remove this off the chip. You can use some cutters or something and bend it back, and solder the video right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off the chip right here, and then I'm going to get ready to solder the video on. So that's what I'm going to do, because I don't want interference. So let me get this pin pulled up. Okay, so I've gotten this pin cut here, so I'm just going to put some flux on it, and I'm going to get my wire ready, and I'm going to solder this wire right here. And there we go. On to the next step. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is take this solder jack, since everything's soldered. Not solder jack. I'm going to take this this molding here, the jacks, and just simply screw it on there. And there you go. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so I've gotten this jack on, and actually before I put it on, I cleaned the motherboard because I had all that flux on it. So overall, I think it fits pretty good. I haven't put it in the shell yet, but there was only a little bit of trouble with getting the screws into the plastic here. It was just a hair off, and you know, that's kind of bit to be expected. Sometimes you just can't get it exactly perfect. 3D printing is just, you know, I guess you just can't get it exactly right, I guess. Of course, I don't have a 3D printer, but anyway, and that's why I ordered this, because I couldn't make this myself. But anyway, next part is to solder the jack on. So I have the power jack ready here. So basically the power jack goes in here. These two prongs go through these two holes. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this through, and then I'm going to solder it on. Okay, so flux it. And I'm going to grab my solder iron, get some solder on the solder iron, and solder that on there. Of course, if I had a hand free, I could do this much easier. Which I might have to wind up doing, actually. Okay, I've gotten it enough on there where I don't have to hold the jack anymore. So now I can just use my solder iron and apply a little bit more solder. Yeah, that's good. And then I'm just going to clean it off with my CRC electric cleaner. And we'll clean that flux off. And this is how I clean the other joints before I put the jack on. Clean it up. Okay, so now I can put the base on, and I'm just going to basically put the heat sink on, screw everything in back here, and get that together. So that's what I'm going to do now. I got to tell you, one of the hardest parts of getting this back together, one of the hardest parts of this project, was getting this heat sink back on. Believe it or not, a lot of it is because there's a lot of stuff cramped up in this area here, and getting these holes lined up was hard. And also the screw back here. And this one was easy once I got everything else, but that was hard. Of course, this is the video wire going out, and if I need to, I'm going to have to stuff these in. Okay, so when you put this back in, you need to make sure that the video wire is underneath or through this cartridge port here, this cartridge port screw. That way it fits nice and snug. And I'm hoping these are going to just fit right up into the molding. So the next step is putting the RF, well, hold on. Okay, before I put the RF shield back on, I'm going to go ahead and put this LED on. The funny thing is, it doesn't look like the instructions gave me anything about where to solder the wires to, but from the picture, it looks like this red wire goes here, and the black wire goes here. So I'm going to solder that in real quick. Alright, since my drill is currently dead, and you have to drill a small hole into the top shell, I'm just going to skip the LED light for now. And I'm going to put this back together and test it. Okay, so I hooked it up and I wasn't getting any video or audio. So at first I thought it was the ground wire. So I checked the ground wire in the back of here, and it wasn't it. So I was making sure that I had everything correct. And I was looking at this picture that I have on my instructions. And right here, from the picture, I couldn't tell if this was on the board or if it was like on the coming off the chip. And the instructions didn't really say anything about whether it was off of the chip or off the board, or at least I didn't understand it. But actually, it's supposed to be off the chip. So I actually had it soldered onto the little connector coming off the board, and it's really supposed to be coming soldered to the chip. So I soldered it to the chip. So hopefully that fixes it. So let's cross our fingers. I'm going to put this back together and then turn it on. Okay, so I've got it hooked up with the audio and video cables and the power adapter up to my TV. So let's turn it on. Alright, it looks good. I'm playing this one with one hand, so I'm just gonna... Yep, looks and sounds pretty good. Okay, so overall this was quite a fun install. It wasn't too difficult. The only difficulties I really had was getting this in there with the heatsink, but it looks good and it performs well, and that's all I'm really concerned about. Now, the guy had 3 different colors on the eBay listing. You can get a white, a black, or a red, and I chose the red. Got a red there, and so why not just have a red here? Make it stick out, you know. I would have preferred to have like this color, but he wasn't offering that, and the white, you know, it might look okay, but I just wanted something to stand out. Anyway, overall, pretty easy, pretty simple. So, just leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody has a good day.